The winner of Miss Alabama 2024 is an obese 23-year-old. What is the story behind this body positive pageant winner? And what does it say about the current state of our culture? Today, we're going to talk about this viral story that has been on everyone's feed. It's about this 23-year-old young woman who is very, very overweight. She's morbidly obese, visibly, and she has won the National American Miss pageant. Everyone's been talking about this. So this pageant took place on Memorial Day weekend, and it's not the Miss America pageant. There are a couple of different beauty pageants. This one is the National American Miss. And it's kind of like the B-list pageant. You know, Miss America and Miss America and Miss Universe are the pageants that everybody knows. But this is National American Miss. And it made headlines because the winner, her name is Sarah Millican, is an obese young lady. And everyone's been talking about this because it says a lot about our current beauty standards. It, of course, says a lot about the body positive and fat acceptance movement. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at her photos, and then we're going to discuss, because this is not about bashing the way that somebody looks or trying to be mean or cruel. This is about having an honest discussion about where our culture is headed, or rather where our culture has arrived, and why we are promoting and celebrating these unhealthy people, and as if we're just going to pretend like it's totally normal and beautiful to be this overweight. So this is Sarah Millican's page. For those of you who are just listening to the audio, you're probably going to have to go and look at her Instagram. But you've probably actually already seen her pictures before, because this went viral online last week. I found these photos, and I found her profile through X, formerly known as Twitter. Here is the photo of her wearing the sash, Miss Alabama. She's wearing a red dress. She's got the tiara on her head, and she's huge. She's a very large young girl. I can't believe she's 23 years old. That's what's so sad about this, is that she's a 23-year-old girl whose health is completely just down the drain. I mean, it's really difficult to look at. So she shared a lot of photos of herself. This is a photo of her in a green dress. She shared this, and she says, "Tip Tuesday, don't forget to let your personality shine through. One thing I struggled with in intro preparation was taking it too serious." Blah, 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 talking about what the judges want in a beauty pageant. Telling the girls to practice, practice, practice. Practice makes perfect. They've really put us in a corner here. There is nothing we can say without sounding like complete jerks. And that's how they want it. That's the whole point of these body positive stunts. These are stunts. They're intentionally manufactured to send a very particular message, to silence you, and to shove these images down our throats in an attempt to rewrite beauty standards and completely redefine what it means to be beautiful and what it means to be healthy. And like I said, there's no way to talk about this without somebody twisting your words and telling you that you're being unkind, that what do you care what people do with their bodies? You know, that whole argument, what do you care? They even turned off the comments on her Instagram page and the National American Miss Instagram page because people were just too real. They were just a little bit too honest, and they kept writing things about how this is not okay. She's sick. She's ill. She's very metabolically ill, very obviously metabolically ill. And why are we just celebrating this and putting her on the front stage and crowning her Miss Alabama as if this is something that young girls should aspire to? And it's very unfortunate, because even though beauty pageants to many people can just seem superfluous and pointless and just a little bit silly, at the end of the day, there are a lot of young girls that look at these beauty pageant winners. They look up to them. They want to copy what they're doing. And that's really the whole point of the whole beauty pageant circuit, is that you are putting a representation of beauty and grace on stage. And you're sending a message to young girls like, this is a really great inspiration for you. This is a good inspiration for you to look like, to act like. And this is now the representation that these young girls have. So this Miss Alabama is going to go compete in the National American Miss pageant. Here's a video to show what we're working with here. So you don't even really need the sound on this. This is just a compilation of her practicing for the pageant. She's walking around in her dress. Oh my goodness, it's so sad, because now this right here is actually really important to talk about. So I'm going to pause it. If you look at what she looks like in this screenshot right here. So this is not a way to be cruel or mean, but this is really important to talk about in terms of health. If you have a belly like this, if you have a midsection like this is particularly dangerous for your health. And that's because when you accumulate a lot of this fat around the midsection, it's indicative of visceral fat around your organs, which is why a lot of people who have the beer belly, you know, the big gut, like even those guys who just drink a ton of beer and they're very unhealthy, they may have skinny arms and skinny legs, but when you have the big belly, that's one of the worst indicators of, well, actually one of the most accurate indicators of terrible health. And this poor girl has such an overflowing midsection. It's indicative of hormonal dysfunction, obviously metabolic dysfunction. She obviously has serious gut issues. This is very unhealthy. For her own sake, why are we pretending like this is okay? So we can keep playing the video. So she walks around her living room. She's like practicing for the pageant. She's wearing her high heels. And this video is meant to be inspirational to young girls. And then she changes into this big dress. There she is on stage wearing a red dress that's kind of a V-neck in the front and in the back. So in the back, you can see that she has so much excess body fat on the back of her. And it's so unhealthy. And she's got the inspirational music in the background, and her message is all about body positivity and fat acceptance, and that's why she was chosen. And we're not allowed to comment on this, but we're going to talk about it anyway, because there are a lot of things here that are extremely concerning. She's eating herself to death, and it's something that should not be put on a stage. People will gaslight you, and they'll tell you that you're rude and you're cruel and you're compassionless for saying this, but what they are doing is enabling unhealthy behavior that is shortening this poor girl's life and playing a role in her demise. You're enabling her, you're encouraging her to slowly eat herself, to unalive herself. At the end of the day, allowing her to parade herself around like this and parade and pretend like it's okay and beautiful and virtuous is harmful to her. This is the crazy thing to me, is that you think you guys are being so nice to her. You guys, you think you're being so kind and you're supporting her and you're helping her live her dreams. You are contributing to her demise, and it's unfair to her. At the end of the day, she's the one who suffers the most from this because she's extremely unhealthy. If you actually cared about her and loved her and valued her as a human being, you would be honest with her and you would help her heal her sick body rather than play along with this charade and just pretend like it's okay and say, oh yeah, you're doing great, sweetie. I saw this tweet a couple of weeks ago. I forgot who it was. I wish I saved it. So I'm giving the credit to whoever this person was. They said that hot girls treat fat girls as if they're special needs kids. And at first I laughed because that is pretty funny, but it is also extremely accurate. That is what hot girls do. That's what everyone does. Not even just hot girls. They treat morbidly obese people as if they have special needs, as if they're mentally handicapped. You know, all of those posters that you saw in school, at least when you're growing up in the early 2000s, there were always those posters around the school where kids or adults were like in wheelchairs, or they were handicapped, or they were missing a limb. And it was like, be courageous. And then all these like inspirational messages on them. They're like, you can do it. And they would like use the disabled people to promote these like inspirational messages. That's what you're doing with overweight girls. This is the same thing. People are treating them like they're special needs. They're, like, you're doing awesome, man. You know how there's that one kid at school who's handicapped, but all of the jocks love him and they're really nice to him. They're like, what's up, man? They like make him an honorary mascot of the team because they want to include him, because it's like they feel bad for him. That's what these girls are doing to obese individuals. That's what they're doing to fat girls. They're treating them like they have some sort of special need, some sort of mental handicap that they were born with and they can't help. That's what's going on here. And it's absurd because she doesn't have a handicap. She's that way because she was probably raised in a household that ate terribly and didn't prioritize exercise or going outside, and she's addicted to ultra processed foods. You don't turn into that overnight. That's not the freshman 15. That's a lifetime of bad habits and a poor lifestyle that started, it had to have started in her younger years at home. And you want to know the harsh truth? Before we get into the harsh truth, I want to tell you about my women's health group, The Shift. This is the perfect segue because those of you who, if you're a woman, no guys, sorry, women only. If you're someone who's wanting to heal your hormones or lose some excess weight or learn how to cook better and exercise more, you're not sure what kind of workouts to do, join my women's health group, The Shift. It's hosted on Mighty Networks. You don't need a Facebook page or any other social media to join. All you need is an email address. Every month we're doing health challenges. This month we're doing a summer fitness challenge where I'm giving you 3 to 4 bodyweight workouts to do every single week. We're also constantly doing webinars and interviews with experts. I have a lot of interviews in the archive with OBGYNs and holistic practitioners, nutritionists and doulas about fertility and eating for your hormones and healing after miscarriage. There's just a ton of health content in there. And we also talk about health from a more holistic perspective. We talk about mental and emotional health. We talk about marriage, motherhood, how to keep yourself healthy when you are a busy mom. So click the link in the description and come join us. It's a very, very affordable price. It's only costs like a couple of lattes a month, and there's so much in there for you and hundreds of women that make up a very supportive community. So come join The Shift. Okay, so you want to know the harsh truth. This should not be allowed on stage. We should not tolerate this kind of nonsense appearing on a stage such as a beauty pageant. Not because she is unworthy as a human being or because we dislike her or because we hate her, no. But because this is a clear indicator of a fallen society. This is a beauty pageant, okay? And the kind of beauty that a culture highlights, promotes, and puts on a pedestal is a direct reflection of that culture's morality and values. This is a representation of a broken, sick culture that is addicted to ultra-processed foods, addicted to screens, won't go outside, doesn't exercise. And it's reflective of a culture that has completely tossed out the idea of objective health and replaced it with subjective feelings. And we should be ashamed of this. We should be deeply disappointed in the state of our country for allowing this to take place at beauty pageants, for allowing figures like Lizzo and Tess Holliday to gain so much popularity and influence, to take center stage and be praised and rewarded and given accolades simply for being extremely unhealthy. It's a sign that we as America have declined tremendously. And this is literally the kind of person that you used to see in circuses. They had the exhibits, fattest man alive, fattest woman alive. In fact, you can see the pictures from like the 1800s and early 1900s of the fattest man alive. Come see, it's like this main attraction at a circus. That guy in the photo, he's smaller than the average person you see at Walmart today. And this girl, who just won Miss Alabama, she's much larger than whatever exhibit or attraction you saw at a circus that was like fattest woman alive. It indicates the decline of our society. So I'm serious. I'm not trying to be mean to her. If anything, I want to help her. I would love for her to work with me and let's get you healthy. Let's shed that excess body fat so you can feel better and yes, look better. But we should not be putting this on stage. Shame on the pageant coordinators. Shame on anybody who helped her get onto that stage because you are enabling poor behavior and you're setting a terrible example for young women. And you're contributing to her demise. You do not care about her. You do not love her. You have no compassion if you are just allowing that to take place. And even worse, if you're putting it on a pedestal. I want to show you this chart of rapidly rising rates of obesity because this is actually really concerning. So I found this on Twitter the other day. Let's take a look at this. Zero HP Lovecraft, I don't know this account, but he shared this and said, I believe this is the most important chart for understanding politics in America. This chart indicates adult female obesity, ages 20 to 74 in the United States. And the yellow at the bottom of the chart is the overweight population of women. It's pretty much stayed the same between 1995. It went up in 2000, went down in 2005, probably thanks to the heroin chic era. I don't know. Maybe I'm kidding. Maybe it's true. Who knows? In 2010 and 2012, the overweight population rose a little bit and then dipped again. But if you look at the other two categories, obese and extreme obesity, remember, obese is defined by 30 or more pounds extra of weight. I think that's what it is. And 30 BMI. No, it's 50. I'm sorry. Obese is considered 50 pounds overweight. But extreme obesity is categorized as 70 to 100 pounds heavier than you should be. And look how rapidly that percentage has risen. From 1965, it was about 40% of women. Is that right? Yes. Okay, so 40% of all these women who are obese or overweight. And then you have this small sliver of probably about like 3 or 4% of women who are extremely obese. And that has risen to, gosh, now it's almost 80% of women who are obese or overweight. And then you've got almost like 10 to 15% of these women who are extremely obese. This chart is frightening. It's very, very scary. Obesity is a public health epidemic that is going to bankrupt our country. And then I want to show you this tweet from one of my favorite Twitter accounts, Raw Egg Nationalist. He also has a good Substack. So I'm going to read you this tweet. He says, obesity is set to bankrupt American healthcare within 6 years if even half of U.S. adults with obesity start taking weight loss drugs like Ozempic. By 2031, if half of U.S. adults with obesity start taking Ozempic, the total cost will be an estimated $411 billion a year, or $5 billion more than the $406 billion that Americans spent in 2022 on all prescription drugs combined. Jeez. While a significant proportion of this money will come from private sources and insurance, Medicare and Medicaid may have to pay as much as $166 billion a year, which is almost as much as both programs' total expenditure in 2022. By milking a far smaller proportion of American fatties for Wegovy/Ozempic, manufacturer Novo Nordisk has become the biggest company in Europe. It is now worth $200 billion more than the entire economy of its native Denmark. The cost of obesity is going to reshape the international order. Yeah. Are you scared by that? I'm terrified by that. That's so scary. Look at those numbers. Novo Nordisk, the manufacturer of Ozempic/Wegovy, has become the biggest company. It's worth $200 billion more than the entire economy of Denmark. That's insane. You probably know people who are on Ozempic right now. I know a few people. I know people who are on Ozempic just because they want to lose 15 pounds, and it's been hard. I have family members that were suggested by their doctors to take Ozempic because they're overweight. Ozempic is everywhere. It's everywhere now. Does it work? Yeah, it works in cases. I've definitely seen it work, but I've seen the people gain the weight back. So it's like, what's the point of it? But all of this to say, this is all a depopulation tactic. Most of the progressive policies that you see today, it's all about depopulation, abortion, decriminalization of a ton of crimes. Like they want people to unalive off. I can't say the D word because you can't say bad words now. It's considered a bad word on YouTube. But all of this is depopulation tactics. They want fewer people living in the world and in our country. And this is all part of the New World Order, because the fewer people you have in the world, the easier they are to control, the more likely you are to have that one government, the one world order to take over everything. And so you don't have borders and you don't have sovereign countries. And this is just another pillar in the depopulation tactic, and it's working. People are dying from obesity-related causes, and they've been dying from it for decades, but nobody's really talking about it in a useful way, because at the same time, this body-positive fat acceptance culture has taken over our society and has convinced so many people that it's mean to talk about being fat. It's mean to tell somebody they need to lose weight. And then you combine that with the conventional medical system, where they profit off of overweight, sick people. They don't really want you to lose weight. They don't. They want you sick and unhealthy. Even if a lot of these medical providers can't articulate that or can't even admit it, that's how they were trained in medical school, to keep people sick. Give them pharmaceuticals. Just treat the symptoms. Don't get to the root cause. Whatever you do, don't get to the root cause. And now we're seeing a lot of people get online and talk about how their plane was significantly delayed. Their flight was delayed because there were so many obese people on the aircraft that it was too heavy to take off. I'm not kidding. This is not a joke. Here, I will show you a tweet. You think I'm lying. I'm not lying. This is real. I read the story the other day and I almost dropped the coffee I was drinking because it's funny, but it's also not. Old Rose Swig said, they're removing 7 people from my flight because everyone's too fat and the plane is too heavy to take off. Never seen anything like this. And then he also shared the screenshot of his, boarding pass. He was going to Dallas from Gainesville And he said this clusterfuck only took 2 hours. His flight was delayed by 2 hours because the plane was too heavy. There were several obese people on the flight, and they had to remove individuals in order for the plane to be at an acceptable weight. I don't know if they took the fat people off. Probably not, because they would get sued for that. I posted this on my Instagram, and I'm going to be nice and say some very naive person said, well, maybe it was because the luggage was too heavy. Sweetie, they weigh the luggage. Every piece of luggage that goes into, that's checked in, they weigh it. Haven't you ever checked in bags? They charge you like $100 if your bag weighs 52 pounds. If it weighs over 50 pounds, you get charged for it. But a 350-pound person can buy an airplane seat and they don't care about it. And we're now at a point where people are actually advocating for obese people to get an extra free seat on an airplane. Who's a TikTok influencer like Jay Bay something? She's, I don't know, at least 300 pounds. And she has dedicated her entire page to advocating, like as if this is some kind of activism, advocating for obese people to have a free seat on the aircraft. And she often complains about having to ask for seatbelt extenders and how when she puts the tray table down, it still hits her belly and it's uncomfortable. Things are getting out of hand. We're turning into WALL-E. And it's not, we have to reject this notion that we're being mean. We have to reject the body positive crowd when they try to silence you when we talk about this very important issue, this public health crisis of obesity. You don't have to be mean. You don't have to call people names. You don't have to shun them from society. Nobody's saying they shouldn't live normally and they shouldn't have bank accounts and have online accounts. Like, no, let them live normally, but let's stop pretending like it's healthy for them to be like this. And let's not forget all the magazine covers of women's magazines. It's not the men's, of course, where they have photos of morbidly obese models. And the title, the headline of the magazine is literally, "This is healthy!" Exclamation point. It's healthy. Yay. No, we must reject the idea of morbidly obese individuals winning beauty pageants, not because we hate these women or because we want them to forever hide themselves. In fact, it's because we care about them and we care about their health, and we don't want to lie to them and pretend that their metabolic disorder of obesity is beautiful and inspirational. No, we must reject these images taking over our culture and our society because we want to maintain a beautiful, moral, aspirational culture that is in order. That's not in chaos, but that is in order. And remember, real beauty is inseparable from the truth. And the truth is that obesity is rapidly rising. It's a public health epidemic, and it's costing us millions, if not billions of dollars a year. And we should not tolerate these images being splattered all over beauty pageant Instagram pages. No, it's not okay for us to tolerate this. Again, two things can be true at once. One, we're not going to accept this because it's indicative of a fallen, broken society. And number two, it doesn't mean you have to be cruel to these people. I'm not telling you to go cyberbully her or egg her house or call her names. No. But we have to be honest, and we need to preserve the true beauty of our culture. We need to preserve the order of our culture. And the order, and in order for things to be in order, we need a level of health. And that level of health has completely broken down in this country. And that's why we've seen so many clothing advertisements, makeup advertisements of morbidly obese people. And let's not even get into the gender stuff. You know, the T word, I can't talk about it or else I'll get shadow banned or demonetized or whatever. But you know what I'm talking about. We have lost the order in our society, and beauty is a very important thing to protect. And notice that the two things that the left and the radical leftists go after all the time, the feminists, they go after beauty and they go after order. And those two things are pillars of Christianity, particularly Orthodox Christianity. We very much value beauty and we very much value order because those things come from God. Beauty comes from God. That's why in Orthodox churches, they are absolutely stunning. You walk in and it's meant to be an encounter with God. That's where you encounter God. The icons are beautiful. They take so much pride in creating these beautiful structures, these beautiful churches. It's not like you just walk into this blank building and that whole Western Protestant thing. The church is only a building. It doesn't matter what it looks like. It absolutely matters what it looks like. This is your gift to God. This is actually, you're entering the kingdom of heaven when you participate in divine liturgy. That's what the priest first says when he starts. He says, blessed is the kingdom, in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, because when you participate in liturgy, you are entering the kingdom of God. That's how we meet God. And you want to meet God in a place that's ugly? No. Beauty is a very important pillar of Christianity. And then, of course, order. Our God is not a God of chaos. Our God is a God of order. And that's why if you want a thriving moral society, you also need order, even down to the way that the church is structured. And even like the hierarchy, there's deacons and there's priests, there's subdeacons. The structure of liturgy, the structure of orthros, the structure of the sacraments. There is order in the church. Beauty and order are very, very important, which is why the left has been attacking them for a long time. So it's not a trivial thing. When you see all of these beauty pageant winners and the advertisements and the art and movies and TVs, all of these places where we used to see beautiful people and beautiful things, it's no coincidence that it's been hijacked and commandeered by leftists who want to put ugly things in front of us. Because when you consume ugly things over and over again, you think ugly things, you do ugly things, and you become something ugly. Beauty is important. And I'm not talking about beauty in a shallow way, because whenever I talk about beauty, people are like, well, you're no Margot Robbie yourself. You're ugly. I'm not talking about people being supermodels. I'm not talking about you looking like Jennifer Lopez. That's a shallow beauty. I'm talking about deep beauty that is inseparable from the truth. Beauty is inseparable from truth and from what is good. If it's good and if it's true, that's what's attached to beauty. So we're not talking about the superficial getting lip fillers and looking like Bella Hadid with the perfect hair and the Kardashians where you get your ribs removed and then you put the fat from your belly onto your butt and you make a perfect figure. No, that's not the beauty we're talking about here. That's manufactured. That's manufactured aesthetics. It is a good thing to protect beauty in our culture, and I'm sick of pretending otherwise. So yeah, we should not accept these images. We should not accept this person being crowned Miss Alabama. I honestly think it's the same thing when you see the UPenn swimmers, the female swimmers that William Thomas was the team that he was swimming on. And a lot of these collegiate sports, the sporting events where the T person goes and competes with the women. Why do the women show up? Why are you giving validation to this charade? Why are you participating in this sham? It's the same thing with these beauty pageants. Why are you showing up? There are even beauty pageants where a T person goes in and pretends to be a woman and then, they win the whole thing. Why are you women participating in this? Why? Because you're afraid you're going to lose sponsorships. You're afraid you're not going to get your chance to shine. Don't even participate in it. You give it power. And so I don't even think these women should be going to these beauty pageants and competing in them. If you see this kind of nonsense taking place, it is a beauty pageant. And if it's not about beauty, why would you participate? Just like if you're going to a women's sporting event, if it's not women's sports, why would you participate? Like I always say, for those of you who don't know, my husband, he teaches jujitsu. He's a black belt. That's what he does every morning. He teaches before he goes to work. So jujitsu is like a huge part of his life. It's his love. And I tell him, if one of our kids or if any of our kids really get into jujitsu and if they start to compete, because my husband often coaches people in competition and stuff. If my daughter grows up and wants to compete in a jujitsu tournament, and if she shows up and if it's a guy on the mat, I'm not letting her compete. No way. Not only because it's dangerous, but because we're not going to participate in this charade. We're not going to play along like this is normal and it's real. Nope. So that's what I have to say about that. I am sure that there will be many people in the comment section who are upset. Mind your own business. What do you care what other people look like? You know what? I care because I care about other people and I care about the state of our society. This is not like nitpicking what color she wears or how she does her hair. We're talking about the health of a person. We're talking about their longevity and also the health and longevity of our population. I care about other people. I often refer to this Burkean perspective, Edmund Burke, who was known as the first conservative, and he had a big influence on the founding fathers. And he often talked about how society is a living organism. So the live and let live argument, I don't tolerate that. I don't entertain that idea. Live and let live. What do you care what that person does with their body? What do you care how they eat and if they do drugs? It's not hurting you. It does hurt our society. If you allow pockets of our society to decay away, whether it's by crime or by obesity or drug abuse, alcohol abuse, if you let these pockets of society decay away, even if it's not directly affecting you, that means that the living organism that is society, that in and of itself is going to start decaying away. And that's not something that we want. You shouldn't want that. So this very liberal live and let live thing, it's really the root of so many evils in our country, because they're like, what do you care how people do? I do care, because I care about people and I care about our country, and you should too. So I forgot to promote our other sponsor today. I know this is towards the end of the episode, but I want to tell you about Every Life Diapers. Did you know that almost all of the diaper companies that you support and that you buy from, they all donate funds to abortion organizations? So Every Life Diapers is a really great organization because they have non-toxic, high quality diapers that my kids use, and they openly support life. They openly oppose abortion, and they're a pro-life company, which is very rare today. So I want to give you my discount code. Use the code 10GINA, 10 GINA. You can go to their website or click the link in the description in the show notes here. And for your first order, you get 10% off. So even if you're not a mom or you're not a dad, you don't have kids, you can gift a set of diapers to somebody. I love these diapers because they're super absorbent. We've never had any issues with leaking overnight. My toddler still wears diapers at night. She's potty trained during the day, but we've never had an issue with leakages at night. My newborn never had issues with leakages with the Every Life diapers at his age either. So I highly recommend this product, and I'm so happy to be partnering with them because it's important to vote with our dollar, especially during this time. So go to Every Life, their website, order whatever products you want. The first order is 10% off with the code 10GINA. That's all I got for today, guys. My son is still sleeping. He's still napping. I know that I've been talking for a long time about bringing guests on the show, and I really want to bring guests on the show. It's probably going to be a minute, because the only time that I can film is when my kids are sleeping. So, and with my son, he's not on a schedule yet because he's so young. So if he goes to sleep, I'm like running to get dressed and come upstairs and film while I have a minute. So that makes it really hard to bring guests in, because you have to plan for a guest to come on Wednesday at this time. And we just can't do that yet because I just don't know my son's schedule. So hopefully soon we will have some guests. A friend of mine, he has a new documentary that's releasing soon about the importance of men in our culture. We're trying to get him to come by and film with us because he's a friend of ours. So he's a little bit more flexible with his schedule. And there's just a whole list of people that I want to have on the show, because I do love doing interviews and just having somebody else sitting across from me. And there are plenty of people in the Middle Tennessee area who we can bring on too. It's just a matter of scheduling. So be patient with me, please. Thank you. And if there's somebody in particular that you want to see, you would like to see me talk to, put them in the comment section. Let me know who you want to see. Don't forget to like this episode, share it, subscribe to my channel, turn the post notifications on, and please support the channel by purchasing any of the products, whether it's by joining my women's health group or purchasing the prenatal vitamins or Every Life diapers or Charlize skincare or any of the First Form products, because they have some great supplements, prenatal vitamins, collagen, they've got good protein powder. I'll put all the links in the description. So, okay. Thanks everybody. Hope you have a great day or evening whenever you're watching this, and we'll see you next time.